All right, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Couch Brotato Podcast. Will stops by today's show to talk about Wrestlemania 39, the WWE merger with Endeavor, and the horrible Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. You're going to hear our thoughts on our favorite matches from 39, what the pay-per-view structure might look like for WWE with this new merger, and is Vince McMahon really in charge? Find out the answers to all those questions and more after the guitar riff. The Couch Brotato Podcast presents to you the week that was in the WWE. And we are back with the Couch Brotato Podcast. My name is Russ, and joining me once again for his second week in a row, Will is back on the show. How's it going?
All right, everybody. How you doing?
Just
wanted to make a real brief announcement. Got Mr. Russell Casto here on the 18th hole here at Augusta National as he gets ready to take his last swing for greatness. And he does it.
The way you were laying that down at first.
Masters week, everybody.
That's right. It is. At first, man, when you got on there, I thought, like, fuck, is he doing like his R&B DJ voice? Like, coming up next on 95.7, The Vibe, little Teddy Pendergrass coming at you right now. Thank you, everybody.
I had to, mention that it is Masters Week. That is a big deal to me. So, watched a few of the opening featured matches today, and they looked pretty good. So, it's to shoot that out there.
It's not Easter Sunday weekend without that. Like, that is a tradition at my house. Is that first weekend in April is. I don't really watch Thursday so much, but Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, like, I am fucking locked in.
I'll watch it. It's also the anniversary is because the main reason why I started watching it is because for about 5 years or some shit like that, I fucking forgot. My Xbox would break. My Xbox 360 would break every damn Easter. So every time the Masters came on, my Xbox broke. I don't know why. But let's get to the bigger and better things because your boy has a lot to say.
Got some shit to say.
About the shit that's been going on with Vincent. I don't know what the fuck his middle name is. McMahon.
Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
It was Vincent K. I should have said that.
Or if you've seen his interview on CNBC the other day, it's El Señor El Paquin.
Oh, God.
Which, I don't know what his deal is. He's got this real pencil-thin mustache, and he's dyed his hair black now. So he seriously looked like after that interview that they did on CNBC that he was going to kidnap somebody and tie them to railroad tracks for ransom money.
Oh, like a Dick Dastardly?
Yeah. Like an old silent movie villain. I seen it, I was like, what the fuck is going on with this? Like, I thought
that fucking piano riff music.
Yeah, then like a card would come by and it would say like, like twiddles fingers and it's like he'll say something like my plan is complete, and then like some cowboy will come in and save the day and like shoot Vince in the hip or in the butt cheeks, and he would scamper off, he would save the girl and ride off into the sunset.
That's how he looks, man. That's how he looks.
This week's episode, we are going to be recapping the crazy week of WWE. They started off, we are recording on a Thursday evening, and they started off the weekend last Saturday with night one of WrestleMania, culminated in night two. And then if you are into financial reports at all, we've actually discussed this on our show from time to time. WWE did sell on Monday morning, and then that was capped off with a very, we'll get into it, but a very interesting episode of Monday Night Raw, which for you, those of you that watch wrestling, the Raw after WrestleMania is arguably the biggest Raw of the entire year. It basically is the reset button for the entire year of WWE. But we'll get into that in a moment. We're just going to kind of go We're going to start off with WrestleMania. Talk a little bit about that. What were your initial thoughts of the card as a whole? Just kind of want just a real quick, synopsis. Like, what'd you think of it?
So, like, going into going into WrestleMania, I was happy. I wouldn't say I was super excited. I was excited, but I wasn't super excited. But as the show went on, night one, it's fucking amazing. It was great matches, good tempo. I wasn't bored. Like, okay, cool. Night two happened. I still thought night two was pretty good until. Here's the thing about it. I actually think night two was decent. I don't have a problem with it. I'll explain myself fucking later when we get to that point.
Yeah.
Overall, I thought it was a good show.
Yeah, I really thought so too. I thought I'm not going to use the Dave Meltzer star rating, but I think there were 4 matches on that card for sure that would get grades of an A. Really solid card throughout. There were a couple matches that I wasn't too keen on, but I will go on record as saying that I think that WrestleMania 39 is a top 10 WrestleMania of all time.
I'd agree.
Yeah, that was a fantastic show. I'm with you, though. Night 1 was amazing. Night 2 had some struggles, still a couple of great matches. Not enough to really sink it as a whole, but still an overall very satisfying show. But yeah, we'll get into the whole card. The big story coming out of that is obviously WWE kind of pulled a little bit of a shocker, and they decided to have Roman Reigns retain the WWE Universal Undisputed Championship, whatever they call it. He's the fucking champ, over Cody Rhodes. A lot of people went into that match thinking that Cody was going to win for sure. They were setting it up like that. I also believe that Cody was going to walk out of there with the championship, and then I was surprised, but not like angrily surprised. Like I was just surprised. Like, okay, I'm interested to see where this is going. What about you?
All right, I'm hitting the nail on the head and clear the air, like I told everybody I was going to do. My problem with everybody in this right now, because internet went into a fucking frenzy that night when that 1, 2, 3 happened. I immediately got on Twitter. Everybody was pissed, upset, itching, throwing piss and shit everywhere. I was like, listen, it seems like today everybody wants to have that instant gratification. Oh, I want Cody to get the belt. I want Cody to get the belt right then and there. I'm like, no, I don't want it right now. Him taking this loss is only going to make, when he gets the belt better, a bigger deal. I feel like he became a bigger star from this. Now, for granted, we don't know if Vince played a hand in this and he's trying to get Roman to that, magic 1,000 days, which would be cool to see. I'm not going to lie. We've never had a champion like that. And it would just be cool to see. But my overall thing is like, the match was great. Cody, yeah, he deserves the championship, but I don't think he needs to deserve it right now. Excuse me. And I don't know if anybody really watched the press conference after that. Roman was making comments about it. It's like, this isn't fast food. We ain't doing it like Burger King like you want it your way. He said, we making something great. I'm 100% on it. There is money to be made with this storyline. Drag it, I'm going to say drag it out to the point where it gets boring. Like, there's still so much shit to do. Hence, we don't know what's going to happen with a bloodline. We still got to wait for them to implode. We keep hearing stuff about Solo going after Roman, this and that. I'm like, I don't want Cody just to, take the belt and then what happens to the bloodline? They're still running around. They didn't even break up or nothing. And earlier that day, we had The Rock put that video up on Instagram, and he was sitting here saying something along the lines of, Roman, I'm going to see you maybe down the line, this and that. So I'm like, are they shooting for WrestleMania 40 next year? Like, what are they doing with that? Like, why is he making comments and shit right now?
Right.
Overall, that match, I'm fine with the outcome. That's the outcome I wanted. Let it go.
Yeah, like I was one of the people that was a little upset by it because I was really rooting for Cody. They have done so far a very, very good job of setting him up to be like the top babyface in the company. But after I sat and thought about it for a little bit, I slept on it overnight. And when I thought about the next day, if you put it on him now, it's one of those things where Cody hasn't really seen any kind of adversity since he's come in. Like outside of the injury, of course, but like storyline adversity. He came in, he beat Seth at WrestleMania, then he basically won their feud, and he got hurt, and then he comes back, he gets the prime spot in the Royal Rumble, he gets number 30, wins the Rumble, then goes on to Mania. And I think that if you would have put him as the champion after 39, that you would have, I think there would have eventually been some backlash where people would have started turning on him, because then you've got that, he's been handed everything on a silver platter. He hasn't struggled to get to the title. And every big champion that they've had has had some kind of struggle. Roman had dealt with it for years before he turned heel, where people hated him because he was getting force-fed down their throat. And I think that's what would have happened to Cody if they would have put the belt on him too. Is people would have gotten sick of him and they would have turned on him.
I 100% agree. And I told my buddy Mark, yes, I shot you out again. I told you.
Is that the Mark that you mentioned last week that needs to be on the show sometime?
Yeah. So he has, me and him been talking a lot about this. It actually is referring to him as Dusty Jr. because he feels like he is never going to fucking win anything right now. And he feels like he is actually following in Dusty Rhodes' shoes. That's that, you know what? You got Vince running this damn company again. I could actually see that shit happen.
Well, see, I don't.
Don't think so? Don't think so?
No, I don't think it's gonna be one of those things where like Dusty or like Cody will never be the champion because Vince is in charge. Simply because, like, Cody, from what I read, Cody was prepared to go back to AEW when he was a free agent. And he only agreed to take a meeting with Vince McMahon because he just like, I'm a free agent. I might as well hear what else is out there. And then Vince just kind of blew him away. Never really wanted to tinker with his character. He even said that he's paying for the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. He doesn't want Stardust back. He doesn't want Cody Rhodes from when he first started. He's paying for the American Nightmare. That's what he wants. And I don't think that you set him up like that just to make him like an upper mid-card guy. You're setting this guy up to be like a legit top 2 or 3 guy in your company.
He's coming out next week, Dusty Jr. Denim shirt, denim jacket. He gonna be in the mic. What you doing there? Listen, baby, I am the son of a plumber's plumber, and I have struggled all my life. And you know what? I'm going to be the champion, and I ain't going to be the champion because if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And evidently, I ain't the best, baby. So, that's how we going to leave it right there.
Well, I think that you're right now. You are into the like. I think that they're going to mimic like the hard times Dusty Rhodes had when he was like kind of the king of the South down in NWA. That Dusty was always chasing the title. He never got it. I mean, eventually he became the champion, but he was always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So, I mean, I could see that being kind of this similar scenario. But yeah, I mean, you have to have him struggle and like fight and claw and like get his redemption story. I just think him eventually becoming the champion will be a much bigger deal when he does do it. And like I said last week too, like if Cody doesn't win the title, then who is there to put the title on? Like whatever prospect do they have right now that would make sense as the champion that you would believe is the champion? I don't think anybody.
This is as good as yours.
Yeah,
it's not going to be Seth.
No, it's not going to be
Lashley. Not going to be Brock. Not going to be. No, I was going to say put it on LA Knight, but no.
Oh, dude, I would be all like, fuck yes, put it on him. Now, I would like to see a Lashley Roman feud for the title, though. Like, that's a very interesting program that they haven't really gone into yet.
Really?
Yeah. I would totally be down to see a Lashley Roman feud. I mean,
just as long as they don't make Lashley look weak and him get washed out by fucking Solo and shit, which they would do. Like,
yeah,
I would like to see that, but keep Bobby still strong. Keep him a strong character.
yeah. Because I mean, realistically, I personally think that Roman's going to be the champ through 40. I think he'll be the champion for like till next WrestleMania. It's the only thing that makes sense. And if it's going to be where he's going to be kind of the attraction that he is now, where he's not going to be on TV every week, there's only so many people that are legitimate contenders for the title, and it's Lashley. If Orton comes back, I mean, I don't think Orton would be, somebody I'd put the title on, but he's a name that you could easily put Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton at SummerSlam, and that's a good main event. But, and then if you're not going to pull the trigger at SummerSlam, you're surely not going to do it at the Survivor Series. You won't do it at the Royal Rumble, so it'll have to be WrestleMania.
See, well, now it's just for talking about Cody. I thought it was going to go online, but I'm like, nah, we're talking about Cody, so we might as well just bring it up. Happened to him on Monday. I texted you. I was speechless about that. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah. Now, I think that for those of you that didn't watch Monday Night Raw, which if you didn't, I totally don't blame you. Wasn't a big fan of that episode. They set up a tag team match as the main event. It was Roman and Solo versus Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar, who Brock rarely wrestles on Raw, let alone in a tag team match. I can't think of the last time. I think it was his first run. 2004. Okay, so his first run at WWE is when he was in a tag team match. And then at the end of right when the show, the match starts, Brock turns around, just basically beats the shit out of Cody, gives him an numerous F5, just beats the living dog shit out of him. And now you've got Cody versus Brock is your next big program, which is pretty much, I think, going to carry them into the summer, I would guess.
I'm not hating that feud.
No, I think it's a good feud. I mean, if you're going to make Cody Rhodes earn the title, this is the biggest roadblock you could possibly put in front of him, is to put Brock Lesnar as the first person he has to conquer to get back to the title.
I just hope, I want to see this. I just hope after this, I hope he goes to Gunther or Brock versus Gunther. I fucking need that. I feel like he's going to be like somebody's next roadblock. I just feel it.
Yeah.
But actually, I thought something was going on. Like, before the match started, I don't know if you caught this or not. So you like to talk about Roman's month and 2 Sunday fucking entrance. So
yeah,
when the show came on, like when he was doing his entrance, he cut to commercial. I'm like, he never do that in his entrance when he was standing there, and I'm like, huh. I wonder why the hell they're doing that. That was just me reading between the lines right there. And then it came back, and then bam, I flipped on him. I was like, that's why. Because we knew Roman wasn't going to fucking wrestle. Because they would have definitely showed his entrance and shit. But they went to commercial. They put it in picture-in-picture mode while it was still coming out. So I was like, okay, something's going on. He beat the dog shit out of him. And I was like, I was not expecting that. Him to just flip just like that. And evidently it came from Vince, which is crazy to me.
Which I don't know if you've seen the video that the WWE socials put out after Monday Night Raw went off the air, with Cody walking back to the dressing room, but he did that very over dramatic, like he looked at the crowd and they were cheering him, and then he did like some like half-ass feint job where it's almost like if you see like the damsel in distress in a movie, like they put their hand over their head, they just do the and they faint. It was almost kind of like that. I have to show it to you. It was hilarious. I was like, what the fuck are you doing, Cody? Just walk back to the ring. I mean, you're holding your ribs. You're like limping along. We get it. You don't have to do this. He did like a spin move when he did it too, which made it even fucking better. But I'll send it to you when we get done.
Stardust.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought the Cody match, people didn't like the outcome. I thought that was a fantastic WrestleMania main event, though. Much better than we got last year. I'd say as like the top of the card WrestleMania main event, probably the best one we've had in a few years.
What the hell was last year's main event?
Last year's main event was Brock versus Roman. And then the year before, it was a triple threat match between Daniel Bryan, Edge, and Roman.
So okay. Is what I'm thinking of, and okay, that's right, because that Brock Roman match at WrestleMania, I did not really care for. That Brock Roman SummerSlam match, that was great.
That was a fun match. I love that match so much.
That was a good match.
Yeah. Getting into WrestleMania, since we like to do our top 5 matches of the card, let's get into it, man. What were your favorite matches of the weekend?
Ooh.
You don't have to give them in order. Just what were your favorite matches of the weekend?
I love the meats. Hunter, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre. I love the meats. Amazing.
That was a fucking banger of a match.
That match was, oh my God. Like the Asuka and Bianca Belair, which I would have some words on that one too coming up.
Oh, just go into it now, man. We're just going to dig into it now.
Okay, so I was a bit torn. In that match. I like Bianca. I love Asuka. Like I like them. Like I love Asuka. I just love Asuka. I feel like she should have won the belt during that. She is 0-5 at WrestleMania. Like, what? I'm counting 0-5. She's really 0-4, but it's really 0-5 because if she did an NXT match there way long ago. So I'm like, okay, why do they keep doing her like this? They built her up at Royal Rumble for her to come back as Kana, like she's going whole heel and whatnot, just for you to take her to WrestleMania and then dick her and then not win. I get it. Bianca is so over right now, but she is young enough that she's gonna have more title reigns. Like, I feel like Asuka should have took this, and then going into that and understand the whole fucking. I'll get to that in a second. I just feel like Asuka should have won that. I'm just tired of seeing her misused and coming up short. I'm just like, no, she's one of the best talents you have in that locker room on the female side. Like, she can go, but I guess whoever's running creative doesn't see it that way.
I was with you.
What do you think about it?
I was with you. I thought I've been a big fan of Belair's title reign, but I think it might have been time simply because I don't think there's anybody credible for Bianca to go up against right now. Like, fuck, who's she gonna like stretch out a program with? Because obviously they set up Bianca versus Rhea at Monday Night Raw. That's happening at some point, but like
I don't want that. Like,
I do. That was the match that they need to do, huh?
They're both champions, though. That's why I don't want that. What the hell are they going to do? Like, if you're going to do that, then okay. You better take a page out of what the hell they did, and you better unify them damn belts, because this match right here, champion versus champion, that's pointless unless there's a fucking payoff.
I don't want them. I don't want the belts merged either. That's already kind of an issue with WWE right now with Roman.
Yeah.
Keep the belts separate. But that's
why I would hold off on that match. I would hold off on it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what is Bianca going to do between now and I'm guessing inevitably this is going to be a WrestleMania match. Maybe at SummerSlam, more likely WrestleMania. But like, who's she going to battle with between now and then that Rhea match? Rhea's got a whole slew of fresh contenders. I would imagine that. My feeling is it could be she's going to eventually have to deal with Becky Lynch. That's going to be a match at some point. That's a big money match. I mean, she's going to have. I mean, hell, she could even go up against Asuka. That's an interesting matchup right there. But
yeah, but you already know who's going to win.
Yeah, you already know who's going to win that.
I don't want that. Like, I need Asuka to win that. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, who's Bianca got left? I don't
want to see Alexa Bliss because I cannot stand her. Liv Morgan's just a daredevil. Raquel Rodriguez is not built up far enough, even though she's on SmackDown. Becky Lynch, we've seen it already.
The only person that I could see if they built her up correctly would be Raquel Rodriguez. Now I know
on SmackDown.
Yeah, well, let me back up a little bit.
Or just in general for a match.
Well, just like as a program, and I also, if she decides that she's going to stick around, even though I'm not the biggest fan of her as a professional wrestler, I think that Bianca Belair versus Ronda Rousey is a big match. I even called that being a matchup at WrestleMania in an episode we did earlier this year. So
you did.
I can maybe see that, but then like honestly, Ronda's at that point now where people don't really give a shit about her.
People don't like Ronda. I don't like Ronda.
Yeah.
Ronda's a piece of shit.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I thought it was a solid match. But yeah, I think I'd have been okay with Asuka walking out. What else you got on your list?
Who did I say?
You had the IC triple threat match, which that's on my list too. We'll dig into that when I get to mine. You said you had Asuka and Bianca.
Obviously, the championship match, tag team championship match.
Yeah,
that was amazing. Roman and Cody. I don't know. I'd kind of leave that one out just because we already know that was a good ass match.
Yeah, we've already went into that one. Cody and Roman's on my list too.
Yeah. I enjoyed the. Oh, how the fuck am I forgetting about that? That Hell in a Cell match. Edge and Finn Balor. Psh, I enjoyed it. I just hated when it kind of got PG when they wouldn't show Finn Balor's head busted open. I was like, and they say wrestling's fake. Nah.
I like that match. I personally, didn't crack my top 5. It seemed like, and I read that apparently that match got cut short because of Finn's injury. And I think that kind of hurt it a little bit because you could tell they were building towards something bigger and it just didn't happen.
Well, you know what? I don't think I'm going to put it on my top list because since you said that, I think I just remember something. Because remember, I texted you that night. I said, I'm ready for the Kool-Aid Man, Gangrel. Gangrel was supposed to come out with Edge. He was supposed to do something in the match. I'm guessing, I'm like, okay, so if he was going to come out, I bet he would have, Finn probably would have brought out Damian Priest or somebody, and they just probably would have just went at it. Like, so
yeah.
Okay, so I don't think I'd leave that on.
Yeah, I will say, like, I'm a huge fan of the band Slayer, which they played Edge. Like, that was the first part of Edge's entrance. But I was really expecting, like, when they said Brood Edge was coming out, and maybe it's because it was still sunlight outside and it wouldn't have worked as well. Still thought it would have been cool, though. Like, Gangrel to come out. I always get a kick out of Gangrel because it seems like I've noticed that there's 2 wrestlers that seem like they are just vibing to their ring music, and it's Bryan Danielson and Gangrel. It just seems like they're just fucking like, yeah, they're in it. They're in that pocket just grooving to their theme music. And I was really hoping to see Gangrel too. And yeah, I was a little disappointed when he didn't show up. But yeah, I just think that match.
You did hear about that rumor then?
What rumor is that?
About Gangrel supposed to be there?
Yeah, I heard about that. I was expecting it to happen, and then it just didn't. And I was a little deflated when it didn't. And then, it just felt like that match was building towards something. And then I think once Finn got hurt, it's almost like they had to cut it short, and it seemed like they left a lot of meat on the bone. And now you're at that point where I don't want to see Edge against any member of the Judgment Day. Like, I don't know how this is still a feud because it's like Edge has just beat the shit out of that whole faction so many times. Like, okay, I don't want to see this anymore.
Nip it in the butt.
Yeah, just be done with it.
Done. So I will switch it then. Got a real kick out of Dom versus the Mysterio match.
Mm-hmm.
A real kick out of that. That was good. And my last one, like I said, I fucking hate the guy. He puts in work. Rollins and Logan Paul.
That was,
Great match.
Yeah, for sure.
Good match.
Wow, I'm actually, your list is a little different than mine. I had the IC title match. Yeah, that was just like, I was talking to former co-host of the show, Lucas. We love you, man. We'll have to have you back on here sometime. He was supposed to be on here tonight, but family stuff kind of got in the way. But him and I were talking about, I was talking to him about this, that Sheamus has worked well with both Drew and Gunther, and I don't see how that match would have been anything but great, just because of the chemistry all those guys have together. And they didn't disappoint. That's probably Intercontinental title match. I would say it's Steamboat Savage, Razor and Shawn, and this one for best Intercontinental matches of all time. Like for WrestleMania, that was a fucking incredible match, and that to me was the best. That was the best match of night 2.
Yeah, that was WrestleMania. That's what I want to see, is something like that.
I had Roman and Cody simply because like the storytelling that was involved, and like, yeah, I mean, it was a really, really good main event. And I think that's the telling sign of a good WrestleMania, is if the main event's good. And this one didn't let anybody down. I did like the Mysterios, especially Dom's entrance. I thought that was fucking hilarious.
I thought it was good though.
Yeah, I love that match. I thought that match was really good. It's not my top 5 though. I had Rhea versus Charlotte in my match. Those two gals wrestled like
putting it up there.
Those two gals fought like they wanted the main event of night 1, and they were going out to prove Triple H that they should have went on last.
Mm-hmm.
That was a hard hitting match, and like I just thought that was incredibly well done. Lots of great tension in that. I thought there was a couple moments where I thought Charlotte was actually going to come out on top, even though it was pretty much a gimme that Rhea was going to win that one. I thought that one was fantastic.
I put it in there.
Yeah. What else? We had the IC title match. Had Rhea and Charlotte. Had
Profits match.
That one was a fun match. I wouldn't put it as one of my favorites though. Had Cody and Roman. My favorite match is the Mysterios would probably be in that list too. I thought that was just a great match. Logan and Seth was really good. Man, I tell you what, I'm with you. I do not like Logan Paul, but man, to be that fucking talented in his 4th match in WWE, that was his, he did WrestleMania last year, SummerSlam, Crown. Yeah, his 4th match. And he looks like he's someone that's doing it for 20 years. Blows my fucking mind.
Seth is telling him to resign.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. My favorite match though was the whole weekend had to be the Usos against Sammy and KO, just because of all the fucking backstory behind it. I think this is, if you really look at the card as a whole, Cody didn't get the title over Roman, but people that were invested in this whole bloodline story, that was your happy ending, was KO and Sammy took the titles and they beat the Usos. I think that was your happy ending in it for this chapter anyways.
Yeah.
And that was just a beautiful ending though, when Sammy just kept nailing the haluva kicks on Jay, and then he had to pick him up, kind of like when Jay double crossed him on that Monday Night Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kind of pulled him up the same way. And you could see how much people were invested in that storyline. They showed people fucking crying after it was over. I had goosebumps after. I was like, man, that was fucking unbelievable. And I think that to me was, I think the MVPs of WWE for all of 2022 were Sammy and KO.
Yeah.
And I think that was their reward for being like the guys that basically carried the whole company last year were those two guys. I mean, like anything you asked of them, they did it, and they did it fucking unbelievably. So, yeah, that was my favorite match of the night, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, I didn't think there was like a really bad match in the card. I mean, just touching real quick, wasn't huge on Omos and Brock, although it kind of did what it was supposed to do. It's kind of to give you that visual of like the giant more than anything. I thought Omos held his own. It wasn't a bad match. He didn't embarrass himself.
And Cena?
I was a little underwhelmed by that one. That would probably be the one match from night one that was just a little underwhelming, simply because I think Cena's at that point in his career now where he's not trying to do too much because he's obviously has to look out for himself, because you can't go being in like a 50, 60, $70 million movie when you've like torn a pectoral muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he seems like he's very limited in what he does now, which, I mean, it's cool, but I don't know. I was expecting more. And I tell you what, man, I used to hate John Cena, but ever since he came back at Money in the Bank, anytime that dude shows up on fucking TV, I pop for him big time. Like, I was here on Saturday night, just fucking, yeah, Cena's back.
Have you seen him live before? I know you have.
Yeah, I've seen him a couple times. As a matter of fact,
I saw him live at Fastlane. That's when I saw him live.
My son, I took him to a house show here. There's an arena called the Nutter Center, probably about 20 minutes from our house. There was a house show. Main event of the house show was Kane versus John Cena. And this was like really in the thick of like people fucking, unless you were a kid, you hated John Cena. And there was these three guys, probably about 6 or 7 rows ahead of us. They were just giving Cena shit, just like telling him he sucked. And like right in the middle of this match, like this guy yelled something at Cena. It kind of got quiet. And my son just goes, "You shut up right now." And the funny thing of it was, though, is these guys, essentially they see like how much like my son was into Cena, and they kind of changed their tune. And they just start cheering him. I thought it was just fucking hilarious.
Was this Nexus era or the core era?
It's neither one. This is probably 2017, somewhere in that realm.
Corporate Kane?
Oh no, we were well past Corporate Kane. This is when Kane had the fucking he lost the bottom piece of his mask, which I always hated that.
I hate that Kane, man. Oh, that mask is so ugly.
Yeah, it is. I always like OG Kane's the best one.
Yeah.
When he had to talk with that fucking what do they call that voice thing you put over your
voice box.
Yeah. Like when he had to do that. And he had Paul Bear with him. That's the best Kane. But yeah, I was just as guilty of it. I was not a Cena fan, but then like, man, ever since Money in the Bank a couple of years ago, it was that first show that WWE had when like they had fans back in the crowd, and like he came out, I was like, fuck. Yes.
John Cena. Because the first time I saw John Cena, like I said, I was at Fastlane.
I remember that. I was trying to cop some tickets to that too last minute when you said you were going, and I couldn't find tickets for it.
I was in that press box, and that brings me to the next thing. Guess who else I saw that night? Shane O'Mac. He did come out during that pay-per-view.
Oh. Dude, I don't think it's funny that he got hurt. I never wish ill will upon anybody, but man, like that dude was so fucking hype. And I think it's just one of those things where every member of the McMahon male fam, like the core McMahons, it's like Vince, Triple H, and now Shane. have torn their fucking quads on live television. And I don't know, like, when Shane,
it was that shuffle. I'm like, bro, he needs to, like Chris Jericho said, when he came back, Shane gets in the fucking ring and he starts doing all his shit, and that's when he accidentally fucking botched his punch and actually hit Jericho instead, and Jericho in that stiff ass missile drop kick off the turnbuckle, and he said, "You need to slow the fuck down." Same issue probably what happened while he tore his damn quad after the fucking night.
Yeah,
it looked good at first. It's like, oh, he jumped over him. And he fell over, and I'm like, what the fuck? Is that real? And then we got that sloppy ass people's elbow from Snoop Dogg.
You know what, though? I will give Snoop Dogg all the fucking credit in the world. That situation could have been an absolute shit show. And honestly,
he saved it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where, like, you see they showed a video of like the cameraman like trying to get him like lay him out, and it wasn't perfect, it wasn't pretty by a long shot, but like people are going to remember Snoop's punch of the Miz and that ugly ass people's elbow almost as much as Shane McMahon acting like that 12-year-old kid that just had a shit ton of sugar and he's trying to show off in front of his aunt and uncle, and he ends up getting hurt.
Dave Meltzer said that Snoop Dogg literally did the worst people's elbow he's seen in his life. I was like,
you know what? I'm not a big Dave Meltzer guy, anyways. Fuck that dude. But
oh, you don't like Dave Meltzer?
No, I don't know. It just seems like he kind of seems to be any more like a shit stirrer.
Like Cornette.
Cornette's just a bitter old man. That's all that dude is. Usually for wrestling news, I really like Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful.
Okay.
He seems to be really good. I like him. He's a definite follow for sure. Brian Alvarez is cool. Don't mind some of his stuff. But yeah, Dave Meltzer, though, especially after that shit where it seemed like he was kind of in the middle of that Young Bucks. CM Punk Brouhaha. Yeah. Plus, it seems like he shits on everything WWE. I don't know. It seems like anything comes out of New Japan is like 6.5, 7 stars. AEW is like 5 stars, but then like almost WWE could put on like a carbon copy of this 6-star match, and it would be like, oh, that's like a 3-star match. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of his. There's other wrestling journalists out there that I find to be much more credible, and I would like Fightful has like a Patreon for $5 a month, and they give you all kinds of scoops and stuff. Haven't done it yet, but I'm considering it now. But yeah, much better.
Buddy Mark does it. Mark does it.
Oh, he does Fightful?
Sure does.
Oh, good for him. Yeah, they're really good. But yeah, outside of that though, man, I thought WrestleMania itself was a fantastic night. No real bad matches. Even the worst matches were still fairly good. I thought the worst match was probably that women's 4-way tag. And still that was
alien damage control match and shit.
I didn't like that when I first seen it, but I watched it again and it's better than I thought. Still not my favorite match of the card, but still better than I gave it credit for originally. No, the 4-way.
Talking about the Liv one.
Yeah, Liv and Raquel. Yeah. I thought that was probably the worst match of the whole weekend. But yeah, man, I was a huge fan of WrestleMania this weekend. I thought WWE hit a home run.
Agree.
Well, and then for those of you that got up Monday morning, there was the big news that WWE decided to merge with Endeavor, who those of you that are fans of UFC, that's the UFC's parent company. So now they're one gigantic company. Apparently, from what I read, they're going to basically run as separate entities under like one big corporate umbrella, with Vince McMahon being the chairman of the board. And then Nick Khan, who had served as the WWE CEO, is still going to be the president of WWE, while Dana White's still going to be in charge of UFC. I don't know, man. What do you think about this one? I know a couple people had some questions regarding what we think is going to happen with them. So, well, what's your thoughts on the sale? I mean, good, bad? We won't get into that mustache thing. I think we've already kind of touched on that.
So I'm kind of indifferent. I'm kind of indifferent on the sale. I'm just like, whatever. I mean, I'll say this. I'm glad the Saudis didn't fucking get it. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Don't want that. I feel like everything would have tried to be a crown jewel show, and I'm just like, no, I don't want that. I feel like Endeavor is probably a good fit for them. Like I said, I really wanted them to go to Peacock. You're already established with the WWE network on Peacock.
Oh, are you talking about Comcast?
Stuff there. Excuse me, yeah, Comcast. Excuse me. Yeah, I wanted that to happen. But Endeavor, I'm just like we discussed earlier. I'm a little afraid of how are y'all going to do these pay-per-views, because I have loved being on fucking Peacock, the cock, tuning in, boom, pay-per-view.
Just you calling it that, now you're officially a member of this show's staff now. That's the only thing. You've passed the final test. You're officially a couch brotato now.
I should have been one from day one.
You have been. You've been on the cusp, man. You're like fucking Luke Skywalker. You needed to call Peacock the cock, and you did. Now you're the ultimate fucking Jedi now.
It's just, but it's just like, I don't want to pay for this shit, man. If they go that pay-per-view route again, like I am so fine. Like I said, tuning in, I can watch a pay-per-view. And now I'm like, okay, you want me to fork over $50 here, $50 this month, $50 this month? What is gonna happen? I don't know. Like, so I'm indifferent on it.
Well, I mean, I think for the most part, I think it's going to run. I was hoping that it was just going to run the way it has been since, what was that? When did Vince get into all that shit? When did June?
June.
And I don't remember. It's been a while since we talked about it, but I think, yeah, I made the comment that I think that whoever potentially ends up buying WWE is going to be somebody that Vince knows will put him back in power, which I don't know. We'll touch on that in a moment with the Monday Night Raw thing. But we did have somebody submit us a question, which I thought was kind of cool. They wanted to know what we thought was going to happen, or what we suspect will happen to the premium live events once the Endeavor WWE deal takes a hold. I did a little research on this. The Peacock WWE deal is through 2026. So there won't be any wholesale changes, I don't think, in the near future, just because there's that deal in place. But I read a stat where they would have to charge, I didn't get the numbers. I found 4 or 5 different numbers on this deal, but I think it was something like $1 billion for the rights to the WWE programming. But to get equal value, $1 billion, that essentially this UFC, whatever they're going to call it, they haven't officially come up with a name for it yet, but this UFC Endeavor WWE company, they would have to charge $70 on average per event, and they'd have to do something like 7 million buys per event to equal what Peacock gave, or Comcast gave WWE for these streaming rights. That's a lot of fucking money.
Man.
So
who's spending that nowadays?
Yeah, and my thing is the WWE TV rights deals are coming up, and that's Raw, SmackDown, and then this streaming deal in the future. First off, that library is going to be pretty attractive to begin with, but I would imagine that if someone's going to buy the streaming rights deals for WWE, that those premium live events would have to come with that. Because I think that makes it much more attractive to get eyes on your streaming service. Like, oh, well, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, I watch some of the old stuff, but that's the main reason why I keep the WWE Network or Peacock. Is like, well, fuck, if I want to watch WrestleMania 39, I'm shelling out $5 a month for it versus paying $50 a month for it, which that there's no way it'll be $50 if they do a pay-per-view route. But I think that for somebody to bid on those rights, those premium live events would have to be part of it, because you're going to lose a shit ton of money by not including them. Because, I mean, well, let me ask you this. If you have, like, say you're Apple or Comcast or whatever, I mean, wouldn't that look more attractive to you? Like, okay, I can have the entire WWE catalog. It comes with everything WWE's done. Get all the old WCW stuff, ECW, all this massive library of content. But then I can get eyeballs, and I get people paying each month for premium live events. I mean, wouldn't that be a much more attractive package than just having...
If you can get both, yeah.
I mean, like, basically, like, with the WWE...
I would rather have that library. I'd rather have the library.
Is it worth $300 million, or would it be better to have $1 billion? I mean, like, I am no mathematician, financial whiz at all, but I would rather have $1 billion than $300 million. So, I mean, I think it makes sense for them to do it that way. And I know people are saying, like, well, you know, UFC charges $70, bucks a month for their pay-per-views, but, like, UFC and WWE, like, that's two different business models altogether. They don't run... UFC's not running house shows. They don't do TV 2 or 3 times a week. They don't have all these extra revenue streams coming in, whereas WWE has all that and more. Yeah. I'm not really worried about it. I mean, they could do it, but I think them doing that, and also you've trained your audience for years to expect, like, hey, I'm paying, when WWE Network was a thing, it was $9.99 a month. Now you've got Peacock, depending on what, you're either paying $10 for the ad-free stuff or $5 for the, the ad-supported content. You've trained your audience for so long to expect that. Now you're all of a sudden like, oh yeah, by the way, we're not going to give you that stuff for free anymore. You're going to have to pay $60 for it. Now, I would probably pay that for, like, WrestleMania, maybe SummerSlam, maybe the Royal Rumble, but I'm not paying $50 for fucking Money in the Bank. I'm not paying $50 for Crown Jewel or anything like that. I'm not paying for those.
They ain't getting shit.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just think that's...
Pay for Survivor Series.
They do War Games again, I'd consider it, but yeah, like, WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble would be the only two that I would certainly fork over the money for. Outside of that,
SummerSlam?
I guess it would depend on the card. See, the Royal Rumble is like my favorite event because, like, the Royal Rumble is my favorite gimmick match that the WWE puts on. So
my thing was, okay, so the TV deal that we were talking about then, how that's supposed to be coming up to an end. What are they going to do with that? Are they going to still? Where are they going to show WWE then?
Are you talking about, like, with Raw and SmackDown? I would imagine it'd be like how it has been. Like, all these networks are going to put in, like, a bid for the programming. For it. Yeah, because I mean, granted, like, TV, the way people watch TV has changed so much over the years now. But I mean, WWE offers something that only live sports can offer. Like, it's DVR proof. Like, if you want to find out what happens, like, you have to watch it live, or else it's kind of lost its luster by then.
So, okay, so it could Peacock, or could they still do the same thing? Or that WWE catalog, could they still just pay Endeavor, like, hey, can we still have the rights to this stuff? And we'll.
Oh yeah, you could easily. I'm sure they would easily. Yeah, they would be in the running for that. Now, I don't know whether I mean, it's still a long ways off, but man, the way these streamers are struggling money wise now, it's hard to say who really is going to throw that kind of cash at them. I don't think
because everybody's trying to bust heads for that shit. That's why it's expensive.
Yeah, I don't see someone like ESPN getting into it because I mean ESPN's about to do a fucking massive layoff. I mean, maybe somebody like Apple could jump in. Maybe Amazon could like get those rights too. Like companies that don't need are not relying on streaming so much, but they just kind of like they're searching for more ways to satisfy their subscriber base, somebody like that. But I mean, that's still a ways off.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see
it is.
I'm curious to see how these TV rights deals are coming because I think one is at the end of this year, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong, but
I wonder if they've got pulled. I wonder if WWE got pulled off of Hulu, didn't they?
I think so.
Yeah, I remember when they were still doing that.
Yeah, okay, let me take a look here real quick.
It's really interesting with this.
Of course, every article I pulled up so far does not give me an end date.
Shouts out to the guy who had to laugh my ass off Cody sign an AEW show last night. I don't know if anybody caught that, but I sure as hell did.
I don't know. I think they're coming up within the next year or so. So,
okay.
But yeah, I personally, I think it would be foolish for them not to go back to the pay-per-view model since it's been so many years since they've went to that. So that's my 2 cents on it.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize it's been that long since they haven't done that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like there's that big thing where, companies like pay-per-view companies were getting super pissed off about it, and then like they just eventually started like I don't even remember the pay-per-view company. It was like the big ones, but yeah, they started just dropping WWE programming. Like, well, shit, we're not going to even waste our time with this if we're only getting, we're losing so much money to carry this. It's like, what's the point? So yeah, I just think it'd be foolish for them to go that route.
I agree.
But
definitely agree.
I don't know. I mean, do you see anything changing under this new umbrella? You think it's going to be more status quo outside of what we're going to touch on next, I'm guessing?
I don't think anything's going to change. I don't know. For some reason, I just got a vibe that WWE is about to go to shit. I just really do.
All right, well, that's a great segue into the last topic of the evening is the Raw after WrestleMania, which is typically the biggest Raw of the year. It's when the WWE hits the reset button. It's where you see all these big surprises. Huge storylines will come out of this. They kind of set up the rest of the year off of this show. I don't know, man. Like, me personally, there's a lot of rumblings and a lot of stuff on the old dirt sheets from numerous people that Vince McMahon, based on comments he had said on the CNBC interview earlier, that he was going to be involved in creative somewhat, but not like every little detail of it. That basically Monday night they gave Triple H essentially, who had been doing a fantastic job in creative. Not everything was home runs, but I think that a lot of people were very optimistic on WWE programming. Gave him a bunch of busy work. There was rumors of numerous changes during the show, and it seemed like the show was very disjointed.
I'd agree.
I don't think I've seen some people that have said it's like the worst Monday Night Raw episode of all time. I will not say that because, I mean, obviously those people did not get to enjoy such 95 main events as Bam Bam Bigelow versus Doink the Clown or Duke the Dumpster Drosy against Razor Ramon as your main event. Or Barry Horowitz against like the smoking guns or something like that. You know, like nothing on that part, but I think there's an expectation for the Raw after WrestleMania. Like one of my favorite Raw episodes of all time is the Raw right after WrestleMania 17 is the formation of the 2-man power trip. That was Steve Austin and Triple H. The cage, you thought Triple H was going to come and help The Rock out, and it turns out Rock gets done in by Triple H and Austin. And of course, we got Brock Lesnar destroying John Cena the night after WrestleMania. But I don't know. What do you think, man?
The show was shit. Hot shit. Big steaming pile of shit. Vince McMahon fucked that whole goddamn show up. Cut Bailey from coming out. She gets on Twitter, starts running her mouth. I say running her mouth because I'd be pissed off too, but just saying shit. And then I was reading that they were saying, like, since Vince, a lot of the locker room kind of felt blindsided by this. They said morale is piss low right now in WWE, and I said I could only imagine right now. He's in there doing all this, and this, and then they were talking about, well, is he going to run SmackDown? If SmackDown Friday is trash, Vince is really back. That's how I'm looking at it. I was not happy with this show. Where were the fucking announcements? We got Matt Riddle back. I didn't want to see some dude with some purple panties come back and start kicking on the Miz because I hate the Miz. We didn't get nothing about no Randy. Braun Breaker didn't get called up, which I could probably see why, because Rick Steiner's stupid ass.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Like I said, I was let down with this show. And I was at work, and I was like, oh, damn, yeah, it's going to be a great show. And no.
Yeah, I thought the opening segment was good. I thought the ending segment was solid, but everything in between then, I mean, it got to the point where I ended up changing it to, I have the MLB TV package. I ended up watching baseball until about, I don't know, about like 10 till, like, okay, they're probably getting ready to start the main event now. So I flipped it back over and watched that. But yeah, it was just from what I watched.
How many minutes there was of wrestling?
Wasn't it like 30 something minutes?
30 minutes in a 3-hour show. So that is pathetic.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Didn't even need to happen. Bobby Lashley beat the shit out of Mustafa Ali. I was like, what the fuck for?
Yeah, it seemed like it was just very, very disjointed, and it didn't seem like it was going anywhere. And yeah, there was a lot of questions. And I don't know if the backlash was just from Triple H is still in charge. He just had an off night, which, hey, man, we all have them. Or whether, Vince is actually in charge, and a lot of this was, this backlash was based off the comments that he had made earlier in that interview when they announced the deal, whether it was just like, okay, like this episode of Raw sucked. Vince has to be back in charge. So I don't know. I mean, it sucked. With the dirt sheets, a lot of that stuff is like, you got to take it with a ton of salt. So I think, like I said, we were recording this on a Thursday. I think tomorrow night is the telling sign. If SmackDown is awful, which they've set that show up to be pretty good, because I think we're getting
SmackDown has impressed me. The lead up to WrestleMania, SmackDown has impressed me.
On SmackDown for this Friday coming up is Sammy versus Jay, I believe. We got Dominic and Damian Priest against I think it's Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio, I think is a match on there.
Del Fantasma people?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think hey man, I'm all for that. That faction could actually be really good if it's done right.
Yeah.
Plus anything that brings back memories of Eddie Guerrero. Totally cool with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, SmackDown looks like on paper it's going to be really good. So I think that's the telling sign.
Then again, what if this is just a good show? What if this is a good show and then Raw is shit again? So,
you know what? Honestly, that has been the trend for quite a long time. That SmackDown, I think, has taken over as the A show for WWE programming. SmackDown is usually really good. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I don't want to sit through a pay-per-view length television show every week. SmackDown's the perfect length. It's 2 hours. I don't need fucking 3 hours worth of shit. And a lot of Raw is just filler. So I think that's a lot of it.
Some of the 3 hour shows are bangers, though. Some of them are good, but that's few and far between.
Yeah, some of them are. Few. But it seems like Raw is very hit and miss, where SmackDown seems to be like has a really nice rhythm going to it. But I don't know. I guess we will find out tomorrow whether there really is a change in creative or whether just Triple H had a bad night.
I'm hoping Triple H had a bad night.
Yeah, I am too.
But if he did, that's a real big, bad night because they just... I get a headache thinking about that fucking show from Past Money. I kid you not. Like, I just like, dude, like, does this really how WWE is about to be because of Vince? Like, I'm sorry. It's Tony Khan's eating right now. He knows what's up. He better hit the motherfucker to the moon.
That was
he's eating right now.
That was the last point I was going to bring up real quick. Before WWE kind of had at least with wrestling fans, had a they went from having one of the best nights they've had in a long time to one of the worst in terms of like fan response. Tony Khan on AEW last night, that AEW Dynamite, it was a solid episode, but man, with all the news that they had, Tony Khan's got to feel pretty good about his promotion coming out of last night. They announced a Wembley Stadium show in London, which is going to be, I'm guessing, probably a couple of weeks before All Out. This one's called All In. So, yeah, huge news running a stadium show, which I didn't think I would ever hear AEW do anytime soon. And then they signed the biggest free agent out there, Switchblade Jay White, showed up at the beginning of Dynamite. And then FTR won the AEW tag team titles, which means they're sticking around with AEW, which that's a huge win for them. So big stuff.
I think you gotta think about it. They probably looking like, oh, look at all that bullshit going on over there.
Well,
we're gonna stay here.
FTR made up their minds a few weeks ago. I think they played it out for drama purposes because I think their contract actually ended like this week if they would have left. So I think they just did that more for dramatic purposes for television. Yeah, Jay White,
I definitely know probably went to AEW because of that bullshit, because I heard and was reading that WWE was highly interested in him, but it just didn't go through, and I don't blame him.
Yeah. Well, hey, big loss for WWE. Definitely a big gain for AEW because I am a huge fan of Jay White. He was my favorite wrestler in New Japan, so I'm excited to see him on TV more frequently.
He's going to be good.
Yeah. Well, awesome having you on the show, man. A little late getting this out, but still fun to talk to you, man. Hopefully there's some big wrestling stuff to have you on soon. Well, hell, we'll just find something else to have you come on and talk about.
Oh.
You have other interests besides professional wrestling, so we'll have to have you back on soon.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, hey, that was the Couch Potato Podcast for this week. Like, subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Shoot us an email at couchbrotatopodcast@gmail.com. Let us know how awesome we are or how shitty we are. I just want to hear from you. If we're bad, let us know. Let us know what we can do to make the show better. If you do like what we're doing, be sure to head over to Apple or Spotify, give us a 5-star review. We would greatly appreciate it, and we'll actually mail you a crisp US $1 bill for doing so. So until next week, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye, everybody.